Next at 6, how it's impacting our state's ability to track COVID cases. Breaking overnight, flames tearing through a rooming house, sending tenants running for their lives.
The coldest morning of winter so far. I'm pinpointing what it feels like when you step out the door coming up.
Out of control and shattering records in Georgia. A surge so bad, it's overwhelming data keeping.
Omicron is so much more contagious than the previous variants have been.
It's a huge sacrifice on myself and my spouse, working from home full time, having 3 kids, virtual, all 3 different grade levels. It's hard.
Deja vu. Metro Atlanta students forced to log on instead of returning to the classroom.
This is CBS 46 News. Wake up Atlanta.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Rob Hughes.
Good morning, I'm Gervier Denza. Rodney's keeping an eye on the roads for you this morning. We've got to get to that cold forecast, though. Ella Dorsey is pinpointing what you can expect as you head out today.
Ooh, it is frigid out there. In fact, the coldest morning we've had so far of winter, which doesn't really mean a lot because December was so warm, right? But look at this. All of West Metro now in the 20s. Temple, you're sitting at 25 degrees. Marietta at 28. It is frigid down in Coweta County, 28 in Noonan. Look at Lawrenceville. Good morning to you in Gwinnett County. It's 28 degrees, 27 in Loganville. So my hands are even cold talking about this. So as you step out, you need the gloves, you need the hat. In addition to that, there's some patchy frost out there. Don't be surprised if you have to scrape off your windshield. A lot of us down here don't even have a scraper, so you might need to give yourself a few extra minutes to defrost the car this morning before you get going. Temperatures will be very slow to climb today. Mid-30s by mid-morning. By the time you eat lunch, it's 43 degrees outside. And even though we see lots of sunshine today, we're still going to top out below average in the 40s and low 50s. So it is going to be a chilly but beautiful winter day. Let's talk about what's going to happen the rest of the week. We'll see increasing clouds tomorrow, but all eyes are on Thursday because there is a possibility for another wintry mix. A lot of factors at play here. I'm going to break it all down so that you can make plans coming up in just a bit. First, though, it's officially rush hour, but a quiet morning so far. Let's check in with Rodney.
Ella, we have a breaking traffic alert for those of you who take the MARTA. So if you take MARTA, listen up this morning. Due to staffing shortages, they are canceling some of the routes this morning and some pretty popular routes. Route 36, as you go west from Decatur, that route is canceled at 6:35, 8:35, and 10:35. And then going the opposite direction from Midtown, that route is canceled at 7:30, 9:30, and 11:30. This is just two of the routes. There are more. So what you want to do is log on to the CBS 46 app right now. We have more information on all the routes that will be impacted. But again, if you do typically take MARTA, some of these routes are being canceled this morning because of staffing shortages. On the roads themselves, the interstate's looking great this morning. No crashes at the moment, but that's also something we'll continue to watch for you. And we'll have more weather and traffic coming up in less than 10 minutes.
All right, Rodney, thank you. Breaking news this morning. At least 15 people are in need of a new home after a raging fire destroyed a rooming house in East Point overnight. It happened on Norman Berry Drive. Fire crews were still working to put out flames just an hour ago. It's unclear right now what caused the fire, but the Red Cross is helping the victims. We want to turn now to the Omicron variant. Georgia at the center of a firestorm of new infections.
Yeah, matter of fact, there are so many new cases, it's becoming difficult to even track it. The state health department announced yesterday that it was unable to update daily case totals because of a data overload. The department says the data from over the weekend was so large it overwhelmed the system.
It comes just days after the state shattered records. Last week, nearly 1 in 3 tests came back positive statewide. And here in Metro Atlanta, nearly half of all tests came back positive. On Thursday, nearly 18,000 new cases were reported, a pandemic record for the most new cases in a single day. And this massive spike forcing many school districts to start virtually today. Our Rebecca Schramm live with a look at how schools have changed plans. Rebecca?
Well, Rob, I want to put this into perspective as COVID evolves and as more people get vaccinated. It's just not nearly as deadly as it was a year ago. But I want you to take a look as school districts see this kind of spike in cases. And as Gravir mentioned, this doesn't even include the case count from over the weekend. It can be pretty jarring. Parents in DeKalb County showed up at schools to grab laptops and Wi-Fi hotspots for a week of virtual learning. The district decided to go virtual because of the surge in COVID cases. In fact, health departments had so many cases to report, it crashed the system for the Georgia Department of Health website, preventing the agency from posting its new numbers yesterday. Going virtual to start the second semester are Atlanta Public Schools, along with school districts in Clayton, DeKalb, Fulton, and Rockdale counties. Some parents are upset about the decision. Others are fine with it.
It's a huge sacrifice on myself and my spouse, working from home full time, having 3 kids, virtual, all 3 different grade levels. It's hard, but I don't want to imagine something happening to them.
For now, APS and the other school districts are planning to reopen the schools Monday the 10th, at least for now, as we said. Coming up in our next half hour, we're going to tell you about the 2 largest school districts in Georgia, Cobb County and Gwinnett County, who are planning to stay in person for now. We're live in Atlanta. Rebecca Schramm, CBS 46 News.
All right, Rebecca, thanks so much. Meantime, the FDA is giving the go-ahead on Pfizer's COVID booster shots for children as young as 12. The Atlanta-based CDC still needs to make the final decision on that, so many parents anxious to hear what they're going to do.
New COVID-19 cases are overwhelming our state health department's ability to release updated data. And one testing site even had to shut down last week because the demand was so fierce. Our Tori Cooper is live right now at Henry County at the testing site with more on this issue. Tori, what are doctors saying?
Yeah, we are going to hear from doctors shortly, but this testing site shut down after they could not keep up with the demand in testing that was overloading out here. And many people are also just trying to find an at-home kit. This is the daily status report from the Georgia Department of Public Health that is updated daily with new cases. But the department told us due to the boom in new results, they wouldn't be able to release new data, and they're hoping to fix the issue and release the data today. As of New Year's Eve, Georgia had more than 114,000 new COVID-19 cases just in the last 2 weeks. Long lines at testing sites across the state now catapulting our data, even causing the Red Hawk testing site in Henry County to shut down last Wednesday because they didn't have enough staff to keep up with the testing demand. But help is here.
Deploying approximately 200 troops starting January the 3rd. Approximately 96 of those to support Department of Public Health, including testing sites. And approximately 100 will be going to hospitals.
Now, obviously, some good news that the National Guard is here. This testing site will be open at 9 a.m., but straight ahead in our next half hour, a new problem is looming. Doctors are now telling us that at-home kits may not be as accurate. We'll take a look at what they're saying straight ahead. Reporting live in Henry County, I'm Tori Cooper, CBS 46 News.
You know, that's going to be so important for people to listen to because people snatch those up off store shelves right before the holidays.
You can't even find them right now either.
Tori, thank you for that. Now at 6, we're keeping an eye on today with some of the other stories you need to know.
Investigators are trying to figure out what led to a driver being shot and then crashing into a Buckhead apartment complex leasing office. We have new video from the Lenox Woods apartment. Atlanta Fire Rescue says it helped free the driver from the trapped BMW. That's when they realized that he had a gunshot wound in his side. The man was rushed to the hospital but later died from his injuries.
Tomorrow, Attorney General Merrick Garland is going to give a speech about the Justice Department's investigation into the January 6th insurrection. That speech is scheduled for the day before the one-year anniversary of that attack on our Capitol. Garland is not expected to talk about specific people or charges, but it comes amid a push to hold former President Donald Trump accountable.
Delays and cancellations are far from over at airports nationwide. Already this morning, more than 900 flights within the United States and in and out of the country are canceled. And at last check this morning, 33 flights in and out of Hartsfield-Jackson have been canceled.
Delta Airlines is adding nonstop flights to Indianapolis ahead of the college football championship. It comes just days before the Georgia Bulldogs face Alabama. You can now fly to Indy from Birmingham and Huntsville, as well as from Savannah. Tickets, though, are going to cost around $1,200 round trip.
Yeah, you need to win the Powerball to buy those tickets. And that's, hey, the jackpot, it's growing once again. No one matched all 5 numbers last night, so it's now an estimated $575 million. The next drawing is tomorrow night, but check your tickets. You may have won a smaller prize. The numbers were 2, 33, 13, 32, 48, and the Powerball was 22.
Whew. All right.
No way I would dish out that much money to go to Indianapolis when the temperature at kickoff is going to be 19 degrees.
You're going to be inside and nice and cozy. And you know what? Just have a couple extra beers, Ellen.
That's right. You know what? The liquor blanket works well, right? Hey, you know what? Fingers crossed the dogs can get it done this time. Because if they don't, I think everyone's going to have a big liquor blanket on across Metro Atlanta. Hey, good morning to you guys. Temperatures are freezing out there. No pun intended. We're in the 20s and low 30s, and black ice is possible in the higher elevations of the northeast Georgia mountains until mid-morning. So if you live in those secondary roads in those higher elevations, Rabun County, Towns County, be aware of that. Take it very slowly this morning. Sun should come out. We start to warm. But you can see most areas stay in the 40s today, so it is going to stay on the chilly side. Here's the thing. Clouds increase after sunset tonight, and those clouds keep things warmer overnight. Morning lows tomorrow morning will be about 10 degrees warmer in the upper 30s and low 40s. So 50 degrees will be the high today. You're still going to need the winter coat through the afternoon. Tonight, not as cold. Morning lows in the upper 30s. Let's talk about what's going to happen tomorrow. You can see partly sunny skies, still dry, but this system starts to develop in the Mississippi Valley on Thursday morning. You can see a changeover to ice and snow. There's a couple factors playing in to this, how much cold air is going to move in and how much moisture it is, but this is going to arrive in our area Thursday afternoon and evening, and we do see a chance for a wintry mix. I'll have much more on the timing and who could see additional snowfall coming up here in just a bit. Rodney, it's just crazy that we started the year 80 degrees and now we're in the 20s.
Yeah, with 2 potentials for winter weather. Unbelievable, Ella. Our breaking traffic alert continues for those of you who have to take MARTA. As a reminder, they're canceling some of the rail service because of staffing shortages. So here's a new round. This is Route 42 as you go south from 5 Points Alabama Street and Peachtree Street, and then going north from Lakewood, Fort McPherson. Some of those routes are canceled not only this morning, but going into the afternoon. So to get more on those times, you can head over to the CBS 46 app. Also a heads up in Cobb County. This is 575 southbound at Barrett Parkway. GDOT was out here treating some ice that was on the road. They've gotten that out of the way, but just a heads up again, that's Kennesaw 575 south at Barrett Parkway. We'll keep you up to date on that, and we'll have more weather and traffic coming up for you in less than 10 minutes.
Roddy, thanks. It's 6:11. A fall unlike any other. A former Silicon Valley wonderkin now convicted of fraud.
Just ahead, our Brooks Baptiste breaks down the charges and where the jury deadlocked.
And 1 year after the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol, a revealing look into just how long-lasting the impact will be for our country.
Plus, days after a powerful pop-up storm catches a Georgia community off guard, we hear from a survivor who was inside her car when that car was tossed around.
Following a much-watched trial, a jury found Elizabeth Holmes guilty of defrauding investors Monday.
Brooks Baptiste joins us with a breakdown of the charges against her and how much time she could be facing in prison. Brooks, what a tumble this is for this woman.
Absolutely. You know, here's the thing. Elizabeth Holmes was often compared to former Apple CEO Steve Jobs. She had many admirers. Many would say that she had a bright future as well. Well, she founded a blood test startup called Theranos, but now she faces some serious prison time after knowingly misleading investors and doctors. Holmes was found guilty on 4 of 11 federal fraud charges, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud against Theranos investors and 3 wire fraud charges from 2014 totaling more than $144 million. Now, Holmes was found not guilty on 4 other fraud charges, including those ones that were related to patient fraud, but the jury was deadlocked on 3 of those charges concerning defrauding investors.
They really focused on the law, and the fact that they asked for the law several weeks ago to bring home with them is very telling. They treated each of these counts very distinctly, and then for the remaining 3, they decided to tell the judge that they were deadlocked.
Well, the judge is expected to declare a mistrial on those 3 charges, but how much time could she be facing? Well, up to 80 years in prison, although legal experts say that that would be unusual in a fraud case. Guys.
Yeah, it's a long time, but that company that she founded was worth up to $9 billion at one point, so that's certainly significant crime here for sure. Brooks, thank you. In 2 days, the nation will mark 1 year since supporters of former President Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol. So far, at least 18 Georgians have been charged in connection to the attack. As we approach the 1 year mark, a new CBS News poll found 85% of Democrats call the riot an insurrection, while 56% of Republicans say participants were defending freedom. The poll also reveals a majority expect there to be violence over losing in future presidential elections. President Biden and Vice President Harris plan to mark the 1 year anniversary of the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol. Former President Trump is also planning a news conference at Mar-a-Lago.
In consumer news this morning, the Biden administration is taking action aimed at lowering the price of meat. The White House plans to distribute $1 billion of American Rescue Plan funding to expand and also diversify the nation's meat processing capacity. The plan helps producers address inspection costs, purchase more equipment, and it also provides workplace training and safety.
We're excited about being able to have local processing done by local people and then sell directly to the consumer.
The White House is also proposing new rules that would crack down on anti-competitive practices. Your time right now is 18 minutes after 6, and this morning we're learning new details about the EF1 twister that was caught on camera over Covington on New Year's Eve.
It was on the ground for 7 minutes, and during that time, one woman says she was in her car when it got picked up and tossed around. Alicia Jacques says she thought her life was over. She was with her brother in a Chick-fil-A drive-thru when they spotted the tornado but couldn't get out. The twister picked up her SUV before it landed 100 feet from where they had been.
When it was flipping, it said 911's been activated. It called 911 for me, thank God. But it flipped 3 or 4 times. It was absolutely horrible. Look at my vehicle. You would think that I died in that car.
Good Samaritans pulled Jacques and her brother out of the SUV. Somehow they weren't severely injured. The tornado in Covington was one of 2 EF1 tornadoes that touched down on New Year's Eve, while the other was in Carroll County.
That is really incredible. You know, one thing that I'm so impressed by these days is just how accurate, Ella, you as a meteorologist and our other meteorologists are when it comes to telling people exactly where that twister is.
Yeah, we've gotten huge strides in technology and radar, especially, the forecasting part is still really difficult, but when it's actually happening, we can give lead times that were never seen before, 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's why it's so important on those severe weather days to really stay tuned to the forecast, and it's why local meteorologists are so important as well. You cannot get that info from your phone. You know what else you can't get from your phone? A live picture of Centennial Olympic Park, where the wind is not blowing nearly as much as it was yesterday. 31 degrees, but even with a light breeze, feels like temperatures really plummet into the 20s right now. Current wind chills are in the 20s. Actual temperatures are also in the 20s. So you definitely need all the layers. The winter coat, the scarf and gloves. You need to defrost your car. We're seeing some frosty windshields this morning. You also need your sunglasses. It's going to be a very bright day. It's going to stay on the chilly side. We'll top out near 50 degrees at 4 p.m., but through the majority of the day, temperatures will be in the 30s and 40s. A little bit warmer tomorrow, mid-50s, partly sunny skies, but all eyes are on Thursday for our next chance for winter weather. There's a lot of factors at play here that are really going to impact how this plays out for us here in Georgia. First is a cold blast of air coming in from the north. It depends on how quickly that cold blast of air can make its way south. Secondly, how much moisture there's going to be in this low pressure system. You can see that cold air Thursday morning changing some of the rain over to snow and ice. It reaches us Thursday afternoon. Look at temperatures down to the south of the city, upper 50s, but to the north, 40s. And if that cold air arrives quicker, it could be in the 30s by Thursday afternoon. It does look like we could see a brief changeover to some wintry precipitation north of Canton Thursday evening and Thursday night. Now, if this precipitation comes in later, Thursday night, Friday morning, we're definitely likely to see some light accumulating snow. However, it does look very light at this time, so I don't think it's even going to be as big as of an event that we saw yesterday. So still a lot up in the air with that. Of course, we're watching every model. We're going to bring you updates, but what I do know, after that moves out, it gets downright cold once again. A major cold blast arrives late in the week. 25 degrees when you step out the door on Friday. That will be the coldest morning, colder than it is outside right now. As we head into the weekend, we do start to see rebounding temperatures. Sunday will be our next rain system. We're not going to see any snow or winter precipitation with that. Overall, man, it's crazy the difference from December to January, Rodney. It was hot. And now it is cold.
Yeah, I remember everybody talking about when is it going to get cold this weekend. Well, now it's here. So hopefully you're enjoying it. Hey, good morning to you in Atlanta. This is Connector, 7585 at University Street. So right before you hit downtown Atlanta, as you're going northbound toward the city, as you can see, your traffic is starting to pick up here a little bit, but you can easily go the speed limit. And we're still good to go on the roads. No crashes on the interstates. But I do want to remind you, if you take MARTA, the rail and bus service is being impacted this morning, not just the rail service, but rail and bus service. Some of those routes are being canceled because of staffing shortages. You can download the CBS 46 app right now to get more information on those specific routes. But again, with MARTA, it's both the bus and rail services that are being impacted. We'll keep you up to date on that, and we'll have more weather and traffic coming up for you at 6:30.
It's 6:23 right now, standing by Black mothers and making sure they get through childbirth to see their children grow up.
Coming up, the new effort to address the stunning number of new moms who lose their lives bringing little ones into the world.
Plus, home prices in Atlanta are not coming down anytime soon. We'll take a look at how the metro area compares to other hot real estate markets nationwide.
This live look is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. With over 700 attorneys and 30 years experience, they are ready to fight for you. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, for the people. This live look is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. With over 700 attorneys and 30 years experience, they are ready to fight for you. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
This morning, there's a new push to address the ongoing racial disparity in how pregnant women are treated nationwide. The U.S. is the highest maternal mortality rate for a developed country, and Georgia ranks among the worst in the country. The CDC says every year, some 700 women nationwide die during childbirth or soon thereafter. Black women are at least 3 times more likely to die from a pregnancy-related cause than white women.
A study in Florida showed this, that black children had higher birth rates and higher survival rates when there were black doctors delivering the baby.
Now there's a move on Capitol Hill to provide more than $1 billion in funding to address the historic disparity. The funding would increase and diversify the healthcare workers who treat and care for pregnant women and new mothers.
New this morning, we all know that Atlanta is a pretty hot real estate market, but now Zillow says it's one of the hottest in the country. The company just released a new top 10 list for what it believes to be the hottest housing markets this year. Atlanta came in at number 7. The typical home value about $330,000, and Zillow believes home values in Atlanta are going to jump more than 21% through November. As for the hottest housing markets, that is Tampa, Jacksonville, Raleigh, San Antonio, and Charlotte. They round out the top 5.
Good news if you're a homeowner, not great news if you're trying to buy. The spike in cases is keeping kids at home and behind a screen. Schools once again forced to adjust as the COVID-19 pandemic enters a new year.
And a live look at our Pinpoint camera this morning. You're going to want to bundle up today. Grab the hat, the coat, everything you need to stay warm. Ella and Rodney are back in a few minutes with your Pinpoint forecast and traffic.
The coldest morning of winter so far. I'm pinpointing what it feels like when you step out the door coming up.
For the first time, the U.S. reports more than 1 million COVID cases in a single day, and a drastic rise in those cases is overwhelming record-keeping in Georgia.
And it's time for thousands of Metro Atlanta students to go back to school. How districts are dealing with the Omicron surge and what parents and students have to say about it.
This is CBS 46 News. Wake up Atlanta.
Oh, you are waking up to some cold temperatures. You probably had that heat cranking last night. Good morning, I'm Gervier Dinza.
And I'm Rob Hughes. You need a big coat this morning, especially if you don't go out ahead of time and start your car so the heat warms it up, because that first few minutes in your car are going to be cold.
Gloves, hat, scarf, all the layers. We are currently in the 20s. All across Metro, this is by far the coldest morning we've had so far this winter. 26 degrees in Lawrenceville, 30 in Peachtree City, 27 in Cartersville. It's downright cold all across our area. I want to note, as you're driving to work, if you live in the mountains, especially those secondary roads, black ice is likely through mid-morning, so be aware that the roads closer to Metro are fine, but patchy frost is likely on your windshield, so you might have to scrape it. A lot of us don't have scrapers, so defrost. Give yourself a few extra minutes to defrost the car. And also, when temperatures are this cold, your tire pressure, it shrinks, it gets lower. So be aware, you're much more likely to blow out a tire. You might want to fill up the tires a little bit through the day today. Arctic high in place, very quiet weather through the day, but it's still going to stay on the chilly side, even though we see lots of sunshine. Highs top out near 50, which means temperatures will be in the 40s through most of the afternoon. We're all looking ahead to Thursday for our next chance for winter weather. I have much more on this coming up. First, though, let's get it over to Rodney. Rodney, what's going on the roadways outside?
You know, Ella, the roads are looking pretty good. The issue is MARTA. So I've had some people tweeting me. I want to give you another heads up. If you typically take MARTA in the morning, they are canceling some of the services because of staffing shortages. So what I'm showing you right now, these are bus routes. This is Route 36 going west from Decatur, that's impacted at 6:35, 8:35, 10:35 this morning. Eastbound as you leave Midtown, that's also being impacted. This is one of like a ton of bus routes that are being impacted. So you'll want to go to the CBS 46 app to get more on those routes and the times that in some cases go into the afternoon. Also, as a reminder, some rail service, the train service, may also be impacted. So if you take MARTA, just remember to give yourself some extra time and check to make sure that your route is actually running. In the meantime, as I mentioned, the roads are looking pretty good. This is the connector, which is still a very smooth ride, absolutely no issues. But we'll keep you up to date on the roads, and we'll have more weather and traffic coming up for you in less than 10 minutes.
As a lot of people are struggling to find a COVID-19 test, there's a new problem looming. Doctors are now saying those home test kits that were literally flying off store shelves are not accurate.
Yeah, a lot of people have these kits.
Right.
Our Tori Cooper is live right now in Henry County at a testing site with more on the issue. Tori, so what are doctors saying?
Yeah, doctors are saying that these rapid tests are antigen tests, meaning they have that fast turnaround time, but they're also now saying that turnaround time is impacting the accuracy.
We tend to take a positive test and interpret it as a real positive. Where the disparity happens is really the negative at-home test. A negative at-home test doesn't mean that you are truly negative at this point.
Doctors say if you are looking for accuracy, you may not get it at home.
If you have a negative test, my suggestion would be you go seek out additional testing that may be better, whether it be antigen testing or preferably PCR testing.
Doctors told CBS 46 that PCR tests are the best chance to ensure you aren't spreading the virus. The latest data from the CDC shows 1 in 5 symptomatic patients received a negative rapid test before eventually testing positive for COVID-19. And the FDA shows rapid tests are less sensitive to detecting Omicron. Now, if you are looking to get a test that's a PCR test, make sure that when you go to one of these testing sites that you specify that, because a lot of these testing sites offer both a rapid test and a PCR test. Now, also, if you are here in Henry County or if you were just trying to find a test, you can come out here at 9 a.m. because that's when this testing site that previously closed down will be back open. Reporting live in Henry County, I'm Tori Cooper, CBS 46 News.
All right, Tori, thanks. And child COVID cases are on the rise nationwide and here in Georgia. The state health department reported nearly 1,700 cases in children under the age of 18 last Friday. That's the most since September.
Here in Metro Atlanta, the skyrocketing cases prompted several school districts to start the second semester in a virtual model.
Our Rebecca Schramm is live this morning in downtown Atlanta. You know, Rebecca, I got to tell you, closing schools, that's a pretty tough decision for school districts to have to make because they understand the difficulty of learning and what it means for parents.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Gravir and Rob. Good morning to you. Atlanta Public Schools is one of the districts going virtual for a while. I want to show you this Georgia map. You see how a lot of the outlying counties have low cases right now, but look at Metro Atlanta, where we're in the red as cases go off the charts. This is why so many of our school districts are going virtual this week, but not all of them. It's back to learning from home, at least for a while, in several Metro Atlanta school districts, including Atlanta Public Schools and school districts in Clayton, DeKalb, Fulton, and Rockdale counties. Some students tell us virtual learning isn't as easy as it sounds.
Sometimes teachers don't comprehend about there being too many kids at home using the internet, and it's not enough Wi-Fi for every child.
The districts decided to go virtual because of the surge in COVID cases. Health departments had so many cases to report over the weekend, it crashed the system for the Georgia Department of Health website, preventing the agency from posting its new numbers yesterday. Meanwhile, some districts are sticking with in-person learning, including the state's two largest school districts, Gwinnett and Cobb, which worries some parents.
I'm feeling very uncomfortable. The search is very high right now. I think waiting a couple of weeks going remote will help tremendously. And I just don't understand why Cobb County School District doesn't do that.
I also want to mention that Forsyth County schools are going virtual Thursday and Friday of this week so they can assess the staffing shortages they're dealing with. The other school districts that are going virtual, including Atlanta Public Schools, they're planning to reopen Monday the 10th, at least for now. That's the plan. Live in Atlanta, Rebecca Schramm, CBS 46 News.
All right, Rebecca, thanks for that. And